male park skateboarders on the planet as they converge here at Rhodes Skate Park in downtown Boise. It's time for our Road to X Games qualifier. What's happening, everybody? Brandon Graham alongside Jimmy Coleman, excited for this one. It's the men's skateboard park final here from Boise, Idaho. 12 guys out here, only 6 spots up for grabs at X Games Minneapolis, and some multi-talented guys doing a few disciplines here in this field.
Yeah, double duty is the name in the game with a couple of the guys in the field. Jagger Eaton, he's already qualified for X Games Street in Minneapolis. He's coming off of a street silver medal at X Games Oslo just last month, and he's trying to get himself a park invite. By the way, he won the Am Park and Am Street events last year in Minneapolis. Then we have to talk about Clay Kreiner. He did the trifecta last year. He was in for Vert, Big Air, and Park, and he's trying to do that again here in 2018.
But they're chasing a newcomer, our top-ranked qualifier, seemingly coming out of nowhere yesterday.
Well, I don't want to say nowhere. He hails from Malmo, Sweden, which is a hotbed of skateboarding, and he comes in as an X Games rookie. He was your #1 qualifier, so everyone's going to be looking to chase him out here today, but it's up for grabs with those 6 spots.
Absolutely. We'll find out who's earning a spot to X Games Minneapolis right now. We've got a massive crowd out here, Jimmy, on hand to watch these guys put it down again. Just 6 riders will be moving on to X Games Minneapolis.
Yeah, we talked about that top qualifier, but it is going to be an all-out dogfight here today, and half of the field will be getting invites moving into Minneapolis. We started off with this gentleman right here from Seal Rock, Oregon, Kevin Kowalski. Earned himself a bronze at X Games 2010. He started building a private bowl back in 2010 with that prize money from that bronze medal park appearance.
Yeah, Kowalski just missing qualifying last year in Boise by 1 spot. We move on. Ocean City, Maryland, making his X Games debut here in Boise, 16-year-old Roman Pavic.
Coming up next, out of Brazil, this guy is a skateboard powerhouse. Talking about Heracles Fagundes.
And you're gonna hear the crowd get a little bit louder right here, right now. Hailing from Boise, Idaho, the local boy, Dalton Beeson.
Yeah, listen to that energy from the crowd here. He's had 5 prior X Games appearances, coming off of a first-place finish at the Tampa Pro Concrete Jam in March of this year. Out of Queen Creek, Arizona, it's Trey Wood.
Out of Hermosa Beach, making his return to X Games. We saw him in Austin in 2015 and 2016. It's been a couple years trying to get into Minneapolis. Chris Russell.
Well, picking up from the 2017 season, he had a heck of a year. He was first at Dew Tour Amateur Bowl. He was first at the Bondi Bowl-A-Rama Pro in Australia of this year, and first at the Bullzilla Gold Coast Open of March of this year. It's 15-year-old Keegan Palmer.
That's a lot of firsts, partner. How about Tristan Rennie up next? We saw him in Minneapolis where he made his X Games debut with a top 10 finish.
Well, and this gentleman right here, we talked about him in the show open. He's already got himself a street invite, winner of the amateur park and street events last year, trying to get himself a spot in the park event out of Mesa, Arizona. It's Jagger Eaton.
And this is a guy you hit on the top, Clay Kreiner, so exciting, multi-talented. We'll see him in Minneapolis trying to do 3 disciplines out there, park, vert, and big air.
Coming off of a 2nd place finish in the Australian Bull Riding Championships of February of this year. He's got some of the best style in the business. From Hawaii, it's Heimana Reynolds.
And rounding out our group of 12, our top-ranked qualifier out of Malmo, Sweden. He is on one heading here into Boise, Oscar Rosenberg.
So the stage is set for our final skateboard event out here in the city of Boise. It is going to be an all-out brawl here today. We narrowed the field down from 20 to 12 yesterday, Brandon.
That we did, and it's a 3-run format. The best single score counts. And again, just the top 6, half of this field, will be moving on to Minneapolis.
So in qualifying, they only had 2 runs to work with. Here in the final, they get a bonus run, and I like that they add that into the format. I think we get the best skating out of these guys this way, but as we talked about earlier, the judges are going to be looking for a wide variety of things. They're going to be looking for volume, a variety of tricks in the run. They're going to be looking for trick difficulty, and of course, you need to use all of the course. They don't want to see you focusing on just certain features. They want to see you use all of the massive expansive concrete that this course has to offer.
There's a look at our start list, kicking things off. Kevin Kowalski, no stranger to the X Games stage, been there 8 times before, does have 1 medal to his career, a bronze that he earned back in 2010.
Well, he's no stranger to the Boise Park Qualifier. He was out here last year. He actually convinced Brad McLean to drive him here from Oregon.
That story.
And then McLean ended up surprisingly qualifying for the final while Kevin missed it by 1 spot. So looking for a little bit of redemption.
Imagine, hey buddy, let's make the drive all the way out to Idaho for this thing.
They literally got out of the car and started skating with almost no practice, but he is in as our first competitor here. And check out the speed early on there. It made those in qualifying, going for a foot plant up on the bridge column support there, but the board gets away from him, Brandon.
So this will be a throwaway run early for Kevin Kowalski. Still has plenty of time to skate with, but when you go down that early, it just really messes with everything you have routine-wise.
Back with that frontside stalefish tail slap coming over that hip there. Stylish frontside 5-o-grand and Andrek there in the deep end. So yeah, just going through the motions here this last little bit of time. As you mentioned, Brandon, you're going to need to utilize every bit of that 45 seconds. You need to have complete runs and try to impress the judges here.
Oh! And as you said, when it's a qualifier, an elimination, if you will, as we saw yesterday, it's generally a 2-run format. Guys are skating really tight. You gotta be aggressive, but in this 3-run format, you can afford to kick away a couple of runs if you put it down when it matters most.
Well, I tend to think, too, that some of these guys will be holding some stuff back in the elimination round that they're saving for the finals. You don't want to give it all away. You don't want to show everybody else what you're going to put into your runs. Oh, and going old school. The nose grab, judo, 270 flying over the hip. So that's a tough break for Kevin to get it started. He'll check in with a 50 flat there to get things going here for round number 1 out of 3.
We move on to our next skater to drop in, Roman Pavic.
Competed in the AM division until 2016 before deciding to make the switch to the pro division. You mentioned grew up skating the Ocean Bowl in Ocean City, Maryland with his brother Cedric. Check out the speed with a backside boneless up on that vertical wall. Nose grab 3 coming over that hip, losing the hat in the process and going old school with the eggplant. And just a little too much over the deck on that one.
Roman at 16 years old, one of the 5 teenagers we have here in the men's final.
10th place at the Vans Park Series in Sao Paulo earlier this month. Just going through the motions here with this last little bit of time. Again, with a fall, you know that's not going to get you where you need to be. Half of the field moving on to get invites to Minneapolis. Styling out a front side air there in the deep end. Alley-oop body jar coming over the hip.
That'll do it for Roman Pavic's first run here at Rhodes Skatepark.
So right here, early on, getting up on that vertical wall, I think it looks like it's got a good 2.5 feet of vert on it. And then losing the hat on the nose grab, 270 crossover. Front side air in the deep end for Mr. Pavic. And the alley-oop body jar. Taking that back over the hip, so this one will be a throwaway score for him as well, Brandon.
A 61.66 for Pavic. So we move on now to Heracles Fagundes out of Brazil, making his X Games debut.
21 years old, and he is in for his first of 3 attempts. And check out the speed right there on the shallow end with a good clip of speed coming into the deep end there. Stylish frontside air grabbing that one, tuck knee. Frontside nose grind, just almost running out of real estate there. Oh, the frontside stalefish heel flip trying the heel flip and then grabbing stalefish. That's with your trailing hand just in front of your trailing foot.
So, Jimmy, we're 3 skaters into our 12-man final, and so far all 3 having trouble pretty early on into their attempts.
Well, they've been waiting a long time. You know, you had the women's park event going down. They didn't get a whole heck of a lot of practice. Oh, the front Smith brings that one in fakie. Front once on that wall. He tries an ad drag there, and this one they'll be looking for more in round number 2 and 3. So, yeah, they didn't get a whole heck of a lot of practice. And sometimes when you're waiting that long, you tend to overthink it a little bit, Brandon.
We take another look at Heracles' first run officially in the books.
Okay, so from that angle, you get a much better appreciation for how high he goes on that frontside air. This was after the fall. Backside air, the vert wall there to a backside bonus. Watch this, frontside Smith grind, and then just muscles that one back in fakie. Off of that pool coping, by the way. That's not a metal bar at the top of that feature. That is the concrete pool coping.
A 54.33 for Fagundes. We now turn our attention to the hometown hero, Dalton Beeson. He did compete here last year when we debuted our Road to X Games qualifier. Did not get the invite into X Games Minneapolis. Will that change, and does he get into the top 6 here today?
Well, listen to that welcome that he receives from the fans out here. His 2016 Welcome to Bacon Skateboards team video was actually filmed right here at this park. Nose grab 450 going over the hip right there.
If there was ever a home course advantage, it would be for this guy right here, right now. No one skates this park more than Dalton.
Well, he muscles into that front side invert on that vert wall. Front side air over that hip, taking it back up to the shallow portion of things. He's got a little bit of time left here. Let's see if we can pull off your foot plant to body jar up on that support column wall. So we're looking at our first complete run of the comp here. If he can hang on for these last couple of seconds, Brandon. And tries to get up into a wall right on that support column. Just slides out. A wall slap, I should say. He's not really riding it. He just went up the stall.
You know, if you remember with Dalton last year, he had an injury. I remember he had sprained his wrist, his right wrist, just weeks before the Boise qualifier. We wondered if that was going to have an impact. He was on the outside looking in when it came to qualifying for Minneapolis. Now he appears to be fully healthy. A 68, still has some things to clean up there, but he does take over the top spot early.
Well, again, with this 3-run format, it's building blocks. You go through this in stages. You see what he did. He had a little bit of time left on the clock there. So room to grow there in rounds 2 and 3. But keep your eyes on this gentleman right here, Trey Wood, as I mentioned in his intro. First in the Tampa Pro Concrete Jam in March of this year. He got 5th in Skate Big Air last year in Minneapolis.
Out of Queen Creek, Arizona. Of course, he part of that contingency that really made a name for themselves in Big Air 6 years ago, along with Jagger Eaton and Tom Shar. Tom Shar, one of his best friends. And just to see his skating evolve over the last couple of years to transition from Big Air to park has been something to really witness.
You can see the frustration there. He looked up after that fall and was like, are you kidding me? Nose bonk up on the lip of that wall ride. Frontside Smith grind there for Trey. There's a heel flip. Frontside stalefish attempt to him. We saw him make that in qualifying yesterday.
We saw Trey at X Games Minneapolis last year compete in both Big Air and Park. Had a 5th place finish in Big Air and 7th in Park in 2017.
See that? He slides up in that frontside Smith grind and then pulls off the lip, so he ends up in a stand-up grind. A little nose bonk, just banging that front truck on the lip of that wall ride feature right there. Super stylish, but don't count out Trey. He'll clean that one up in rounds 2 and 3. You can see the frustration on his face, though, after he fell.
So here's Chris Russell next to drop in. The last time we saw him at X Games, it was in 2016, and he got on the podium, earning a bronze medal.
Well, he's got this hard charging attitude. Watch out for high speed action here when he is on course. He's developed that reputation of pretty much going for first or worst.
Oh, exemplified right there.
Well, and look at the hustle though. Right after the fall, he gets right back up. He's not wasting any time. He's going to get right back at it. As we said earlier, you're going to need complete runs, but use the rest of this time. Use it to go through the motions. Use it as practice for rounds 2 and 3. Oh, and up into a Smith stall up on that. That's a lot of vert on that wall ride.
Well, an injury kept him out of X Games Minneapolis last summer, but he's so fun to watch in any contest. Of course, the Creature video from last year, his part's a must-watch.
It's a tail slide revert, and then he pops up into a fakie invert, aka the good buddy. Don't see those too much these days. But there's a slip up there, but again, wait till you get into round number 2 and 3. That guy is high speed, hard charging all the way. Look at this, up on top of the vert wall, that front side stall, front side Smith stall, and the front side rock slider, steezing that one out, has to put a hand on the transition there. There's the tail slide revert, and out of this, we'll see if we get the fakie invert, and we do. The good buddy making Neil Blender proud right there.
Alrighty, we're just, what, 5, 6 skaters in, seeing a bevy of old school tricks out here today.
I like it. Inverts are making a comeback. I know Neil Hendricks, one of our judges, is pretty happy about that one as well. Neil and I have had many discussion about the inverts on the way back.
Hey, you play to the crowd, you play to the judges. Chris Russell knows what he's doing.
Well, you can see right now he's thinking about that one.
So his score coming in at a 57.33. So that puts Russell into 3rd place. And our next skater to drop in out of Rialto, California.
Keegan Palmer.
Oh, Keegan Palmer, excuse me.
Out of Australia.
I was about to say Tristan Rennie, but it's Keegan Palmer.
All right, so I like the way Keegan flows through the course. He's got good speed. He's got good style with a massive.
He's got pop, Jimmy.
Backside 5 for Mr. Palmer there. Backside 1-footed ollie there, gets up in the front side nose blunt, so he's off to a great start right here. He finished first at 2 Tour Amateur Bowl event, June of last year.
And at just 5 feet tall, he's got that distinguished title of being the shortest competitor in the field.
He also finished second the AM Park event just behind Jagger Eaton last year out there at US Bank Stadium. So having a couple of slip-ups here this first go around.
It should be noted, dual citizenship with a skater on the women's side. Also on the men's side, he calls Australia home, as you can see there on the screen. But he does have dual citizenship as he was born in San Diego.
So taking a look at the backside 540 right there, popping out of the deep end there. This was the front side nose blunt. Out of that, followed up with the front side Smith grind before he started getting into the trouble areas there. He doesn't look too terribly phased by all of that, Brandon.
A 60 for Keegan, putting him into 3rd place.
So maybe it's going to be one of those days where you just got to get through the first round and everyone's going to have a little slip up, and then we get to round 2, and then everyone's going to start firing on all cylinders.
So here's Tristan Rennie. As an X Games rookie last year in Minneapolis, he did have a top 10 finish, finished 9th, and he got there via this qualifier last summer where he finished 4th.
It was his birthday yesterday, by the way, in the qualification round, so happy belated birthday to Tristan Rennie. 3rd at the BMX Park Series in Sao Paulo earlier this month behind Tom Shar, Pedro Barros.
And you'll see we've already seen a couple skaters with very aggressive, fast, powerful styles. A little more casual and flowy from Tristan Rennie.
Well, that's what he says. He says he's aiming for the flow rather than the all-out assault. However, that backside disaster up on that wall right feature, that was kind of gnarly because there's not much of a deck on that thing. So that you got to be precise with that. Coming up on 15 seconds for him, we might potentially be looking at our first complete run here. Slowing it down a little bit, working the shallow in there, coming out of the shadows into the deep with a 5-foot grab backside for him as well, and he has done it with the kickflip over the hip and the backside 360 to fakie. That was after the buzzer.
All right, Tristan, what an opening run for Rennie.
You want to talk about lacing a few together right there in the last couple of seconds. That is how you do it.
Just stacking tricks over here.
Front side boneless through the deep end corner over the love seat. And watch this on the disaster. Look at the tail is basically scraping the rest of the support column right there. Not a lot of room up there. Alley front side air over that hip. to body jar. See if we get a look at the last couple seconds there. Yep, backside grab, 540.
And 85, so that puts Rennie into a commanding lead early here in the men's park final.
With 4 skaters left to go in the run order here in round number 1 out of 3, we still have our top 4 qualifiers yet to go.
So Rennie with that overall lead, and there we see Jagger Eaton. He's so good, so multi-talented. We saw him skate street at X Games Norway. There's no other way to say it, Jimmy. He's just a skate rat.
Yeah, this kid's got skills for days. He can skate pretty much anything and skate it well. Already has himself a street invite for Minneapolis, looking to add his name to the park ranks.
Well, it's amazing because this guy was an AM last summer. He won our X Games Street AM contest, was really the king of the AMs, then won at Tampa Pro earlier this year.
Oh, frontside flip gets away from there. Yeah, he won AM Street and AM Park in Minneapolis last year.
So then he comes out and wins not Tampa AM, Tampa Pro this year, and could have easily won X Games Norway Street contest. And we see him out here. He's oh so comfortable on this course here in Park.
Does that with the hat still being clutched in the left hand there. Yeah, him and Kelvin Hoffler had a battle going on in Norway for the street competition out there. Jagger had to settle for silver. It was a busy trip for him. He had to go there, and then he had to go on over to Street League, London. But again, the kid has been on fire. He skates everything and skates it well, whether it's park, street, vert, mega ramp. He can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we got introduced to Jagger Eaton back in 2012 when he competed in Big Air.
Outside nose blunt there for Jagger. This was after the fall.
He's
still front side grab.
The youngest competitor in X Games history when he did that back in 2012 at 11 years and 4 months. So a 64. We expect more from Jagger Eaton as this contest moves on.
He doesn't get hung up on the mental aspect. He'll shake this one off. He's got a great attitude. He's like, all right, that didn't work out. See you next round.
Yeah, he's already putting a new track in the ears.
Exactly.
In Norway, it was some Cardi B. There was rumors that maybe Taylor Swift. Whatever it is, it's generally been working for him.
We get another angry text from him. You guys were hazing my next game next week the other day.
He was upset, feeling like maybe we might have been roasting him. We roast who we love. Jagger's one of the good ones. Speaking of one of the good ones, how about Clay Kreiner, the first guy in 7 years to compete in 3 different skate contests like he did last year. He just loves to be on a skateboard.
I really love the park out here in Boise. It's super sick that X Games holds the qualifier and that they hold it here. Super fun park with like so many different lines. Everybody's doing something a bit different. Yeah, I'm stoked that they do the qualifier. You know, that's what kind of allowed me to compete in three events last year. If they would have only invited 8 or 10 guys, I may not have made that cut. But when they allowed for a few guys to come and at least try, you know, it opens the door. And then someone you may have never even heard of, you know, can have an opportunity, which I think is super cool.
So Clay trying to make it the trifecta in Minneapolis. He's already on the invite list for both Big Air and vert. He's trying to add park to his resume. Can he do it and get into that top 6 here today?
Well, Clay just does it his way. He just gets out there and hard charges through it. I like his style. By the way, Big Air last year, he got a bronze. That was his first ever X Games medal. So as you said, he's trying to make it the trifecta again in a blasting backside 540. Just has a different approach to this, just gets out there and does it his way, having a great time, always a smile on his face. Stylish frontside Smith grind out of the deep end corner.
Simpsonville, South Carolina.
Been living out in the greater San Diego area for quite some time now. Big old frontside boneless right there. So far, so good, looking solid, looking to put together a complete run here.
Final 5 seconds for Clay.
See what he can do with this last little bit of time here with the lead to tail up on top of that wall ride. Had to kind of slide up into that, but hangs on. And that is going to do it there for Clay Kreiner in round 1.
You can't ask for much more if you're Clay Kreiner. You get 3 cracks at this thing, but I think he's going to be feeling very good about this score.
You know, and again, as we get through an entire run order here, the bubble position, that's going to be that number 6 spot. Look at how high he blasted that 540, that backside grab 540.
Now, Tristan Rennie has that lead with an 85. I don't know if it's going to touch that, but it'll be close.
Did you see
his
where
face
his back
says it
foot
all.
was on
Oh
that?
my goodness.
I didn't see that at real-time speed. That back foot was not where you want it to be when you're trying to put your tail up on the edge of a tall structure like that. My goodness.
When your foot's there, you're going to have a bad time, but he's able to ride through it. And his score comes in a 79.66, so that puts him in the 2nd place.
So maybe get dinged a little bit for what happened with that foot going up the lean tail, but maybe needing to add the difficulty variety just a little bit more going into round 2.
Hamana Reynolds making his X Games debut last summer. We met him here at the Park Qualifier, made his way into Minneapolis. So much fun to watch. Style for days.
Yeah, you said it. Style for days is right. Speaking of style, look at that front side invert. Stalling out that, or poking out that back leg, making that one look super, super steezy. Taking it the other way with an eggplant there, so 2 different invert combos here for Hamana.
And you can see his surf-inspired style. Looks like he's on a surfboard right now, just like last summer. Clearly has an allergy to t-shirts.
You went there. Him and Jagger apparently at times as well. Front side flip.
Jagger mysteriously went shirtless in Norway and yet has a shirt on here in Boise. We need to get to the bottom of that. But Hamana Reynolds puts together a very clean opening run. I do love this story, Jimmy, because we saw him on the X Games stage last year make his debut, but he was really on the the first time we saw him was in Next X on Disney XD back in 2010.
He muscles into that front side invert and then gets a boneless to tail out of that. Styling out right there. Nose grab 270 coming over that hip. And right here, front side flip, grab, puts that one down.
An 81 for Reynolds, putting him up into 2nd place. I've just been told, I got official word from Jagger. I was questioning why he didn't have his shirt off. And he said, and I quote, "It's cold, bro." Unquote.
You're gonna have to dispel that rumor a little bit. It was a little bit colder over in Oslo than it was here in Boise. Just saying.
So Hamana Reynolds coming correct with a very strong 81 on his opening run. And Jimmy, we are moving on this thing. Just one final skater to drop in for his first attempt, and he's our top-ranked qualifier, Oscar Rosenberg.
And also your 2017 BMX Park Series world champion. This guy's got a high-speed approach to the course, and he wowed the judges and the fans yesterday in qualifying. Oscar Rosenberg trying to pick up where he left off yesterday in the elimination round. Ollie gap transfer, smacking the tail on the lip. Look how fast he goes through the corners here in the shallow end. It's a lip slide on that curve there. Says he doesn't really plan out his runs, Brandon. He just kind of likes to wing it, just kind of improvises.
It's jazz out there at the park course, and he's the center of this booming Malmo skate scene. We saw it on the street side in Norway, and we're seeing it out here at Park. It's just such a fun, unique style, his approach, unlike anyone else out here.
Making use of that vert wall ride, and like I said earlier, pretty much and a Caballero. That was after the buzzer, but fake a 360 ollie right there. Named after Steve Caballero. That's why we call it Caballero.
Oscar Rosenberg goes affectionately by Oski. And I'm a sucker for nicknames, so I shall call him Oski forever.
Well, Oski is pretty much putting the same plan into action that he did in the elimination round yesterday.
So what did the judges think of that? It was a clean run. Some really good tricks.
I don't know what happened
where
there.
He left off.
Kind of popped out right there
Yeah.
and just acid drop back in. Looked like he definitely was a little off his A game right there at that point, thinking like, all right, maybe he had something in mind, and as he went to the lip, just changed his mind. I don't know. We'll
A 77.66 puts him into 4th place. And just like that, run 1 officially in the books here in our 3-run final.
How about yesterday's birthday boy sitting in that #1 spot at the end of round #1? Remember, the top 6 are moving on into invites for Minneapolis, and right now that bubble is Jagger Eaton.
Birthdays and park skating have been very good to X Games athletes. If you recall, in Minneapolis last summer, Bright Zoyner turned 13 and the next day won a gold medal.
Yes, indeed. So taking a look at Clay Kreiner right here. Some highlights from round #1 with that boosting backside 5 in the deep end. Ivano Reynolds, the front side flip coming over the hip. He currently sits in 2nd place, but it's Tristan Rennie at the end of round #1 with a backside 5 of his own that sits in that top position.
So 1 run in the books, and we move on to attempts #2 here at Rhodes Skate Park in beautiful downtown Boise, Idaho. It's our 2nd year of doing our Road to X Games qualifier here, and we just got word before the contest that we're coming back in 2019. So here's Kevin Kowalski sitting in 12th place, trying to replace that 50 on the dot.
Coming back for year #3, the mayor and the fans were pretty excited about that one when they made the announcement in the opening ceremonies. So we look to do it again in 2019. And there you go, Kevin Kowalski getting that foot plant up on the support column with a front side stalefish, little tail smack coming over that hip. There's that Andrecht off the edge of the tall portion of that, going from high to low. The Andrecht you're grabbing with your lead hand on your heel edge of the board as you're planting the trailing hand.
Just gets away from the Seal Rock, Oregon native.
Finished 11th at the Sao Paulo event in earlier this month. And there is the buzzer, so that'll do it there. Style out of backside air going over that hip. We'll see what Kevin Kowalski has for us in the books for round #3. Into the deep end with the highlights there. Frontside 5-0 going around that love seat feature. Remember, you've got a piece of concrete, a seat, if you will, that juts out from it's just underneath the lip right there. Once you do tricks around that, you have to carve around that thing.
So a 57 improves on his run 1 score, moves a couple spots up in the standings into 10th place. But we move on to Roman Pavic sitting in 7th. Again, the top 6 will be moving on to the final in X Games Minneapolis.
So a little bit of a slip up there. I believe it was closer to the halfway point of run #1, and then it all went south from there. But you just need to clean it up a little bit. Right now, that bubble spot is a 64 flat. That's what you need or to surpass in order to get in and get one of those coveted invites. Backside boneless up on that vert wall.
And that was the same trick where the hat popped off in run #1.
Well, he's past the hurdle from round #1. So let's see if he can hang on here, put together a complete 45 seconds. Most of these guys had a little bit of issue in round #1. Big front side bonus there in the deep end. Body jar coming over the hip. Oh, front side invert revert.
Just slides away from him, and he was on one, Jimmy.
So he's up near the front side invert, and as he comes in, he reverts that one around. So he slides around an extra 180 degrees to try to come down backwards.
So that's going to do it for Roman Pavic's 2nd run. And 7th place is where he will inevitably stay.
See if we get another look at that frontside invert possibly. There's that backside bonus. Up on that wall ride feature, losing the hat. Body barrel there in the deep end. The alley-oop body jar, alley-oop drifting one way, turning the other. The body jar portion that you're smacking the right here, frontside invert, and then slides that one around. And concrete gets a little slick right there, not to mention the G-force of coming down that wall. Just would have been able to hang on to that one.
Top 6
would have been.
Move on to X Games Minneapolis. 7th place is not where you want to be, but he'll still get one more attempt here on the course. We turn our attention now to Heracles Fagundes. sitting in 11th place, trying to replace that 54.33. And if you're keeping score at home, Jagger Eaton is holding on to that 6th and final spot with a 64 currently.
And look at the size of the frontside air that he just blasts into that bowl corner. Frontside nose grind, so Heracles off to a good start here. And again, this is what got him in the first round. It's the heel flip frontside stalefish. I've not seen very many complete runs out here today, Brandon, and it begs the question of maybe the pressure of what's at stake here today, possibly creeping into the minds of some of these competitors. Trying to get up, he was trying to get into that frontside Smith that he brought back into fakie that he did in run number 1. So now Heracles has put himself a bit of a pressure cooker situation because he's going to have to look to that 3rd and final run.
And that's going to do it for Heracles. We'll take another look, but certainly not memorable for him.
Boosting out of that bull section on the front side. Taking a backside there on that wall. Backside boneless. And again, that heel flip, frontside stalefish has been the problem for him in both of his runs thus far. He made it rather easily in the elimination round. So again, just have to try it again right there over that hip. You got to think now that one's in the back of his mind for sure.
The feel-good story of the day, Dalton Beeson, the Boise local, the Rhodes Skate Park local, is currently in the top 6. He's sitting in 5th place. What a story it would be if he could qualify for X Games Minneapolis here in front of his hometown crowd.
Ollie transfer there, so a little bit of a different line for him here coming into run at number 2. Taking, and he goes over the hip and nose grabbing, and that one just gets away from him. So no, not going to be able to do it on the improvement in round number 2. However, in 5th, not a bad spot to be as of right now. You definitely don't want to try to hold on to that with a 68.
But to your point earlier, I think we've only really had 5 full pools throughout 15 runs so far here today. I mean, we can say nerves, we can say adrenaline. Maybe they've been standing around for a long time.
To me, that's part of it for sure. Standing around waiting for the women's event to get done. They had essentially about 35 minutes of practice before this gets going, whereas yesterday they had a lot of time to practice before elimination.
Counterintuitive to be a skateboarder and to just stand around at a skate park for an hour and a half.
So carving through the deep end here. Frontside air transfer from high to low, poking out that back leg. Frontside bonus.
Well, I'm rooting for Dalton Beeson to put it together and stay in that top 6 and move on to Minneapolis. If for nothing else, I want to see this Boise crowd absolutely lose their minds.
Well, it's far from over. We have not even reached the halfway point of round number 2
Wow, thank you for popping that balloon, Jimmy. Trey Wood, he's got 5 X Games appearances to his name. Crazy, he's sitting in 12th place. We expect him to be one of the top 6 when it's all said and done, but he's got his work cut out for him.
Well, he too is another one that rode very well in practice and in the elimination round. And as I say that, he gets hung up again going up. I don't know if he's going up to it. I think he was going into the Smith grind there. He does a frontside Smith there, and then comes out of it into a frontside 5-0 there, and twice. So the mental yips kick in again for Trey Wood. As I was saying before he had that issue, he skated well in practice and elimination yesterday. And that's a tough one. There you go. After all of that, he makes the heel flip frontside stalefish and the front blunt.
It's just really interesting with Trey Wood. It's really been uneven contest results for him the last couple of years, but the talent is there. There's no doubt about it. You see his style evolving over the last couple of years as he transitions from skating primarily mega and getting into park. Obviously still skating big air.
Oh yeah, we first saw him at X Games in 2012 at age 11 in his first big air appearance. That's a heel flip frontside stalefish grab. So you're flipping board, you're kicking out your front foot, the board's spinning away from you, and then you're grabbing it. It's called stalefish. It's your trailing hand just in front of your trailing foot.
Boy, Trey Wood really putting pressure on himself to deliver on his 3rd and final run. 12th place is where he will stay. Chris Russell does have 1 X Games medal to his name, a bronze from 2016. trying to get back to X Games in Minneapolis. He's sitting in 9th place.
I'm excited about this run again. Aggressive, check out the style. Look at how fast he flows through this course. He had one little hiccup there that first go around, but again, look at the speed. Look at how he goes through this and with an eggplant up on top of that bird wall ride. Oh my goodness. Chris Russell is a beast.
Oh.
He was trying to go up into a lip slide right there. Just got a little sticky right there, but again, as he has the slip up, he wastes no time. He gets right back at it. Backside ollie and backside disaster.
Final 10 seconds for Russell. Yeah, I will say I did up until now, is obviously time's going to run out. He does show more pace when he does step off of his board. That allows him to get more tricks in even if a run features a bail, but we take another look.
Taking a look at it here. Front side ollie, but I love the intensity, man. This guy is a powerhouse. This is an eggplant invert. You're planting with your lead hand, grabbing with your trailing hand, and look at the loftiness there. Backside ollie into a disaster. So a disaster, you end up on the lip. You've got one truck over the deck and the other truck in the lip with the transition there. So he'll sit down and think about this one. You see the mind game.
The thinker on cue.
It's like, come on, what do I got to do? Like, I'm pretty sure he was trying to go up to a frontside lip slide right there going into the deep end.
So here's our youngest male finalist, Keegan Palmer. He's sitting in 8th place, trying to knock out that 60. Again, Jagger Eaton is holding on to that 6th and final spot to move on to Mini right now with the 64.
Again, going back to what we said earlier, finished second at the Park Amateur event just behind Jagger. And
whoa!
Massive 540 out of Keegan. Alley-oop frontside arrow. Alley-oop 51 way, turning the other. So one-footed ollie. Right into a frontside nose one. So a quick couple of hits right there for Keegan Palmer, trying to shake off the problems from round one. He's got a heel flip frontside stalefish as well, coming down to the final 15 seconds here.
This has been a terrific run for Keegan Palmer. Can he hold it together?
No, right on the kickflip melon grab, coming over the hip. When you see him looking over at the clock, that was not a happy look, by the way, as he looked over at the
He might have been looking over us here at the booth, like he jinxed me. Talking about how
That's
good
quite
I
possible.
was.
We'll have to get a report on that later. Man, he was there. He was knocking on the door.
Yeah, you all said I was on one.
Look at how high this is.
My goodness, just pops out of the bowl.
Grabbing on the heel edge of the board there on that 540. The backside 540 was alley-oop front side. Watch right here. Heel flip, front side stalefish. Say that 10 times fast. And that one the board ended up in a weird spot right there, and he wasn't able to spot his feet where he wanted to, and that one just got away from him. He was there. He was under 9 seconds left.
So even with that miscue, a 74.33, that jumps him up into 5th place. So he's in the top 6 now. And our current leader, Tristan Rennie, what can he do, Jimmy Coleman, to up that score after a very strong 85 right out the gate?
Well, not that. Not getting over the front of the board like that. He stayed on. That's part of that casual approach that he takes that we were talking about earlier. He's like, I'm not going to panic. I'm going to hang on to this one. He kept feet on the bolts. Another 2 for 2 on the backside disaster up on top of the wall ride feature there. Backside Smith over that love seat. I mean, it's not a fall. He stayed on the board. Didn't look good to start, but he kept the continuity of the run going, so you got to give the guy credit right there. Coming off of a 4th place finish at the Vans Pool Party May of this year. That one's a beast of a competition. So there's your backside 540 for that, and then the kickflip, and I believe that got away from, that was the line in the first run. Kickflip, and then the backside 3 to fakie. So a 360 coming in backwards.
Perhaps the highlight of his contest career thus far is when he actually won the Vans Pool Party back when he was 16 years old.
I don't know how he didn't come off the board on that one, but my hat goes out to you, or goes out to you there.
On the edge, Tristan Rennie.
Massive backside grab 540. Out of that, gets the kick flip, Indy over the hip, And then the trifecta out of that, the third and final part of that little three-piece combo was the backside 360 coming into fakie.
Wow. So even with that miscue, the 83.66, so he has officially posted the 2 highest scores of the contest so far today.
It was a miscue, but he never came off the board, though. That's the key right there.
But you never know with the judges because they know what the expectation is. But here's Jagger Eaton. He just got bumped out of the top 6. He's in 7th place right now. Would need to best a 68 from Dalton Beeson to jump back in.
Well, as long as he doesn't get the yips or Jagger style of skating, he will definitely get rid of that 64 and find himself up there in that top 6. Yet again, backside nose blunt there for Jagger.
We've seen him at X Games since he was 11 years old. Now at 17, he's primed for the spotlight here in Park.
Okay, there's that front side flip that got away from him there in that first go around. Can he hang on this last 10 seconds there? There's the blunt to kick flip out. So the blunt, you're stalling on your tail on the lip, and then the kick flip, the board flips, trying to land fakie, coming in backwards. Losing the hat, going over the hip.
That was the run, Jimmy.
There's the front side flip that was the undoing in round number 1. And then see if we get a look at, oh no, we don't, the kick flip, the blunt kick flip into fakie.
So we'll see how the judges scored this one. Really interesting.
I will say this, had he made that kick, the blunt to kick flip back in, I don't know that he had enough other difficulty or variety in that run to bump that score up that much. Like you saw him kind of carving around through the shallow in there a little bit without doing any tricks, and then he had a backside air, and not to downplay that, but the judges are looking for a lot of different things there.
But he gets what he needed, a 74.66, jumping him back up into the top 6 as he takes over 5th place.
And that just bumped out Dalton Beeson.
Clay Kreiner, he's currently in 3rd place and already invited to X Games Minneapolis in both skateboard vert and skateboard big air. Can he make it in Park? Currently, it looks that way.
Well, he did it last year, and he looks poised to potentially do it again. And as we said, his appearance in big air last year in Minneapolis was his first ever X Games medal, walking away with a bronze. He currently sits in that number 3 position. He locks into that front side Smith grind, so pressure is off of him for now, so he can just get out there and do what he does, like that big backside 540.
So with Jagger jumping back up into the top 6, that actually knocked out Dalton Beeson, the local boy. Whoa.
Just floating into that front side air, just dropping out of the sky, trying to front side heel flip there in the deep end, so that was a change.
The board got away from him there, but there was a split second where I thought he was going to be able to potentially bring that back around.
That's the kind of attitude Clay's got. He'll take things and throw it under, take that board in tricky situations and throw it underneath his feet when you think all hope is lost. Look at the height factor right there. Much to the amazement of the fans in the grandstand over there. And look at this, just floating that one into the Boise skyline.
A 79.66 for Clay Kreiner.
Yeah, he's going to stick with that first
and
run
then
score.
follows that up with the 71 on run number 2, so he'll hold on to that first score. Haimana Reynolds, a high to mom. He's sitting in 2nd place, holding on to that 81. So fun to watch.
I thought about it.
We expect him to try to clean things up from what we saw on attempt number 1, or maybe shake things up a little bit here.
Well, we'll find out in these next 45 seconds. He had an 81 flat, which is fairly consistent with the scores that we saw out of him in the elimination round. Slap air, slap with the tail right there. Take it into the shallow portion of things. On the backside air, that's a bit of a shocker. Just got away from there, so. This will definitely not be the run to improve on that 81 that he got in the first round. Still going to use this last 20 seconds. Try to impress the fans here at Rhodes Skatepark.
Building speed for something. Haimana's family owns Proper Ride Shop in Honolulu. It's also got a small indoor skate park in the back. a street course, mini ramps, and an airbag. So he's riding year round. So Hamana, not the run he was looking for, but he's in second place and has to be feeling really good about his chances of sticking around in the top 6.
Well, you'd like the podium. You'd like to walk out of here with a podium position, but at this point, you just want one of those 6 positions. At this point, you're just trying to get invited to the big show in X Games Minneapolis, and it's coming up. It's literally around the corner.
Yeah, we're almost, I believe, close to the 1-month mark out. So we're right there.
We're a couple days away from hitting the 1-month mark.
Oscar Rosenberg sitting in 4th place. Put down just a really clean, casual 77.66. He's sitting in the top 6. Can clean things up. He's our top-ranked qualifier.
But he didn't look like he was playing casual with the look on his face there, the intensity, the drive. And look at how fast he's going, just slingshotting himself through the shallow ends and up into a long frontside lip slide.
Totally different pace on this one for Oski.
I watched him do that a dozen times in practice today. No problem. Just coming into that with so much speed and dropping out of the sky.
And I think, Jimmy, the judges are going to like this if he can keep himself on the board, really shaking it up in his approach from run 1 to run 2.
Yeah, it's a very, very different approach compared to what we've seen out of the other skaters in the field. And again, going back to that frontside lip slide up on the curve, I mean, he made that time and time again. But again, he's in that 4th place position as of right now, so he's looking at a potential invite right here. Look at locks onto that. It just gets a little too close to the front truck there and has to pop off. Look at this, backside 360 to Faggy, dropping out of the sky. Almost went to flat on that one. Backside nose blunt to 180 out the hard way, bringing that one all the way around.
A 74.66, he will hold on to his run 1 score, and run 2 is officially done. Just one more attempt out here at Rhodes Skate Park in the men's park final. And through 2, it's Tristan Rennie still leading the way with that 85. Keep your eyes, though, on that 6th spot. Right now, currently held by Keegan Palmer. The top 6 from today will be moving on to X Games Minneapolis. 3rd and final attempt time from Rhodes Skate Park here in Boise, Idaho, when we return. Welcome back to Boise, Idaho. We're coming to you from Rhodes Skate Park. Brandon Graham alongside Jimmy Coleman, Diana Dahlgren out on the course. And this thing is shaping up to be a battle here on 3rd and final attempt time.
Yeah, it's these guys are they're duking it out. Some of them have put themselves in some real pressure cooker situations out here today. Looking to get it done in this 3rd and final run, and we're going to need these guys to really step it up if they're going to grab one of those top 6 spots.
And so far, it's been the Tristan Rennie show. 2 really solid runs to open up his X Games Park final here today in Boise.
Yeah, he's sitting in that top spot as of right now with 1 more round to go. However, with the format, it's best run that counts. So the question here is, can anyone take that lead away from Tristan here going into this last round?
Yeah, it's still wide open with so many talented skateboarders ready to drop in. There you see Jagger Eaton. He's in our top 6. He's currently in 5th place, excuse me, but knowing Jagger and his pedigree, he's out here to win this thing outright. Here's Jagger in his own words.
I've always just straight up enjoyed skating park. I just love it. I grew up skating bowl, street, park. I feel like a real skateboarder when I skate park. I just have a good time. This Boise park is so sick. You know, I think it's a perfect combination for me. It's got a little bit of street, it's got a little bit of vert, it's got that slappy curb up on the bank that I'm super stoked about. You know, it's a cool park. Norway is amazing. Park just felt really good, you know, like I love the vibe, I love the people I'll skate with, you know, it's super sick. And yeah, I was lucky to come out with second place. You know, it's a bummer, but you know, you learn a lot. You learn a lot when you don't get first. You know, you learn a lot about yourself, you learn a lot about what you need to do for the next contest. And you know, overall, it was just a super good learning experience. I'm glad I went. X Games Minneapolis last year went really well. You know, I was super fortunate to just be there, be able to compete in both events, and to come out with the first on both. Just the vibe and everybody there was so sick. You know, I always look forward to this contest. I've always loved X Games, even when I first competed when I was 11. I just want to go back and just make some more memories. I'm gonna just go out there and have fun. You're gonna see a smile on my face. You might see my shirt off. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
You might see his shirt off. Well, Hamana Reynolds next to him has his shirt off. I don't know why he didn't stand up to the test there. You see him pointing over the camera. Don't look at me. Look at Kevin Kowalski about to drop in. But just a really extraordinary story for the 17-year-old, obviously making his X Games debut in Big Air, and then to transition into both Park and Street to win gold in the AM contest last year, and primed and ready to try to do it in 2018 in Minneapolis.
Oh yeah, like you said earlier, I believe it was run number 1. We were talking about this, for him to come out and then win Tampa Pro after taking, you know, 2 AM events there, 2017, and now that he's absolutely on fire. But we're into our third and final round here as we bring back in Kevin Kowalski.
Kowalski sitting in 10th place, and if you're just joining us, it's our Road to X Games qualifier here in Boise. The top 6 will be moving on to X Games Minneapolis. Right now, Keegan Palmer is holding on to that 6th and final spot.
Yeah, the 74.33 or better is what you're going to need if you're going to try to get one of those invites here. Let's see if Mr. Kowalski can put together a full 45 seconds here. That one, judo 360 attempt over that hip has done him in 3 different times out here today.
So just
that'll put the cap on the day
that Kevin Kowalski was looking for. And again, it's always tough to be the first one to drop in on a final, but just didn't seem to find his groove all day, Jimmy.
So here on that foot plant up on the support column, that one almost got away from, knees buckled a little bit coming down the transition. There's that Andrecht coming from high to low, going off of the pull coping and dropping down. And that 270 judo attempt over that hip has done him in 3 different times out here today. But again, hats off to him for making it into the final out of the elimination round yesterday.
So we move on to Roman Pavic, sitting in 8th place.
Well, if you're looking at that graphic right there, he is not a fan of the vegetable. That is actually a hand plant variation. We put eggplants up there.
It could potentially be the emoji, though.
Okay, we'll look into that one. We'll get Vince from research to go check in on that for us.
It is a popular one.
Speaking of eggplants, there you go. It's on the graphic. He throws one into the mix for you right there in the run. Body barrel in the deep end there. Where's Roman sitting at? He's in 8th place. Could be all of the above. You never know, Brandon. The vegetable, the invert, the emoji.
Final 15 seconds for Roman Pavic, trying to jump into the top 6.
Alley-oop body jar for him there. So it's Smith up on the pull coping. What does he throw into the mix with these final seconds, going back towards that wall right there? Oh! Backside boneless on the wall. We've seen a couple guys backside boneless on the lip of that thing, but not go all the way up to the actual support column wall portion of that. See, there it was right there on the lip. Roman going for broke here in the 3rd and final round. That body varial there in the deep end.
A 69.66, and he will not be making it into the top 6.
So Keegan Palmer will sit in that number 6 position for now and hold on to that bubble spot.
Yeah, there's still a few guys who could push him, including this 21-year-old, Heracles Fagundes. He's sitting in 11th place.
Fagundes getting ready to drop
got back in and was taking another line at that there. See Trey Wood's
Like, going, I'm not Heracles.
I like it. These guys are trying to help out the camera guys out here today. It's a group affair out there.
So Heracles Fagundes, he's sitting in 11th place, trying to break that top 6. Can he do it on his 3rd and final attempt?
Well, he's had some issues over that hip. There's a massive frontside here in the deep end. The frontside ollie. Your frontside combo there, the 1-2 punch. And there it is again. That's what I was just going to talk about. That heel flip frontside stalefish. Watched him do it in elimination, and it's just eluded him here in the finals today.
Again, Heracles making his X Games debut here in Boise today. Trying to break into that top 6, but it won't happen, unfortunately, as we won't be seeing him in Minneapolis, but
it was a wild-looking Andrecht.
Certainly the talent to compete in future years.
Invert variation, the Andrecht, but kind of straight leg that one. It's a wild style, that one. And one of that frontside Smith, he's trying to bring that into fakie, which we saw in run number 1 out of him. There's a massive frontside air out of him. This was after the fall, the frontside blunt. He knew early on. I watched Sandro. Oh, it's the back leg. It was the back leg that he poked out. It just looked wild with the camera angle that we had. So that's a tough day there for Heracles Fagundes.
We now focus on Dalton Beeson. We've been saying it all day, the local boy. This is his local skate park here in Boise, Rhodes Skate Park. No one rides this thing more than Dalton Beeson, but he's currently in 8th place. He's out of the top 6, trying to get into that group to get to X Games Minneapolis. He was there in run number 1, but has gotten bumped down as the contest has moved on. This is his last chance to try to jump up into the top 6. Keegan Palmer currently holding on to that bubble spot with a 74.33.
Well, if he's able to do it, this place is absolutely going to erupt with that little backside air transfer going over that hip into that transition. Let's see if he can get it done here. Coming into the shallow end. Just the speed and the intensity he's got going on here, and he washes out. With that nose grab, 270 coming over the hip, so he's going to slide on there, and that is not going to be enough to move him into that top 6, Brandon.
Yeah, this final 20 seconds. This one will be for his hometown fans. So much love and support out here for Dalton today. And he looked like he was going to be making his way to X Games Minneapolis after run number 1, but just big runs started coming from the rest of the field throughout the contest.
Well, the good news is that he'll get to do it again next year, because as you mentioned earlier, the mayor has announced that we're coming back here for a 3rd installment in 2019. However, one thing we haven't talked about, there are still some wild card spots that are up for grabs. Even if you don't get out of here, there are still some wild card spots that are up for grabs. So it doesn't mean that we won't see some of these guys in Minneapolis. Wall slap up on that support column there. Yeah. Try that one in run number 2. He just slid out. He wasn't able to make that one stick, but he did here in run number 3.
Trey Wood. We saw him in Big Air. We saw him in Park last year. He's trying to get back to X Games Minneapolis to be skating that Park contest, but right now he is on the outside looking in, the bottom rung of the ladder, unfortunately. He's in 12th place. He's absolutely got to put the work in right here, right now.
Well, he's smiling. That's the good thing. You got to clear the air. You got to clear your head there, Trey, and get through this. There you go, locking into that front side Smith grind. So he just had a couple of mental slip-ups in the first 2 runs. It's been uncharacteristic of what we've seen out of Trey here throughout his practice and qualification, or elimination runs, I should say. Front truck nose bonk up on top of that wall ride feature. Coming into the deep end, front side Smith grind, taking it over. There you go with that front side heel flip stalefish. So with 15 seconds left, can he hang on here, Brandon?
This is the best run of the day for Trey Wood. Can he stick it out? Final 10 seconds.
Building some speed, going back into that deep end.
Yes.
There's the 5, loses the hat with the alley-oop front side. 2 seconds, 1, and he gets it done right there. Trey Wood has put together a full 45 seconds.
Trey Wood saving his absolute best for last in his quest to get up into the top 6, and the fans here at Rhodes Skate Park, let him hear it.
The frontside nose pick or nose bonk up on top of that wall right early on in the run here. And this one's giving him some troubles. It's a frontside heel flip stalefish grab going over that hip. And at the end, look at where he grabs the backside or melon grab 540 right there. So you need a 74.66 or better to get into that top 6. That's where Jagger Eaton is as of right now.
Whoa, an 83 for Trey Wood, jumping him all the way into second place. And with that, Jimmy, that drops Jagger Eaton into the bubble spot.
Well, nicely done when the pressure was on there for Trey Wood, sitting in that number 2 position.
I think Jagger's explaining right now to Trey what you did to him. So Jagger, you're now in the elimination spot, so you got some skating to do, my friend. So here's Chris Russell, sitting in 10th place. Has been right there, but just missing on one trick each time, and then things seem to fall apart. But if he can land this run, it's got top 6 potential, Jimmy.
Well, you can see the look on his face. That says it all right there. He was doing the thinking man's pose as we saw at the end of that second run. He sat down, put the finger to the temple, and was like, what just happened there that last go-around? But if you like fast, aggressive, hard-charging skating, Chris Russell is your man. Boosting backside ollie, smacking that one down into the disaster. We've seen that a couple of times out here today, working his way towards that wall ride, and again with the eggplant. There's a lot of vert on that wall. We're gonna bustle up to get into that invert. There's the frontside lip slide. Man, going around that corner. Man, he was slingshot through that corner right there, around that love seat. That's what he jumped off of there in round number 2, Brandon.
This is the run we've been waiting for from Chris Russell. Perhaps he caught the Trey Wood bug.
Couple of seconds left. He's going to get one more out of it here. What's he going to finish off with on that vert wall? With a big frontside straight leg air smack in the tail.
So stylish. A nice finish for Chris Russell. Again, Jagger Eaton is sitting in that 6th spot. He would need to at best a 74.66 to jump up into the top 6.
Look at how he muscles up into that eggplant. Again, you're planting with your lead hand, you're grabbing with your trailing hand. Look at where he locks into this and slides all the way around that corner and around that love seat. That is some balance, pure and simple right there. And to cap it off, straight leg frontside air, smack in the tail. Hard to see from that vantage point, but trust me, he hit the tail on the way back down.
That felt like a top 6 run, no doubt about it. We'll see what the judges think.
It's got to be
a 78, and yes, it bumps him up into 5th place, putting Rosenberg into 6th, and that bumps out Jagger Eaton. Now, Jagger does have one more run to jump back in, but for the time being, Jagger Eaton has been bumped out of the top 6.
As of right now, he's going to have a chance to answer back.
Wow. So now we're getting some real moving and shaking here on the 3rd and final runs here in the men's park final. Keegan Palmer, who at one point seemed very comfortable in that top 6, is now sitting in 8th place. Again, Oscar Rosenberg is in that bubble spot.
All right, Keegan Palmer on course. He now sits in that number 8 position. Keegan corks that backside 540. Leg front side over the hip, backside slide there in the deep end. So elected to stay with the similar line that we've seen the first 2 times around. Seeing just a couple of shy as he gets hung up going over the hip. So that's not going to do it. So Oscar Rosenberg is safe for now because he is in that number 6 position.
So final 5 seconds for Keegan Palmer. And this is where things get very interesting, Jimmy, because if Keegan doesn't move up, and after that hang up, we don't expect him to,
Yeah, he's not going to overtake that number 6 position.
Jagger Eaton will be the only skater left out of the top 6 yet to drop in who could crash that party.
So that means Chris Russell on up is safe as we take a look at some replays here. Keegan Palmer locking into that front side Smith grind.
Our top 5 are safe. Now, 3 of our top 6 still have to drop in for their final attempts, and even if Jagger Eaton were to bump out Oscar Rosenberg, Rosenberg will be the last one to drop in, so he might have something to say about that.
Yeah.
We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but at this point, yes, Keegan Palmer staying in 8th place. Jagger is the only one that can do some moving and shaking into that top 6. So here's Tristan Rennie. He's been our leader all day. 2 really strong scores. And he's dropping in for his 3rd and final attempt.
And the pressure is off of that young man's shoulders. He's just having a good time out here today. He's been in that number 1 spot since round 1. We'll see if he can finish out and walk out of here with a win. Boise with the backside nose pick up on that wall, right? He's changing it up just a little bit. Remember in run number 2, he had that step down coming into that small transition and buckled a little bit, leaned away over the front of the board and almost ended up stepping off but managed to hang on.
So at this point for Tristan Rennie, it's really about putting last year's podium who pre-qualified in on notice.
Tristan with the backside 540 right there. There's that kickflip over the hip. There's that backside 360 coming in fakie, so sticking with a similar line but feeling pretty comfortable there as he goes in to that final couple seconds on the other. There's the backside nose pick up on top of the wall ride. Backside Smith grind going around the love seat there. Backside 540, so feeling pretty comfortable with that first run score that he had. That's kept him in that number 1 position for most of this competition.
Wow, an 85.33, and he just ups it. The single highest score once again in the contest belongs to Tristan Rennie. First place is where he stays, but now it all comes down to this. Jagger Eaton currently on the outside looking in. He's sitting in 7th place. He needs at least a 74.67 to jump up into the top 6.
All right, here we go. Frontside nose grind there. Carving through the shallow corner. Got a good chunk of speed as he's moving into the deep end here. Backside air. There's an alley-oop frontside air.
Oh,
the
no!
backside nose blunt. Seen him do that 1,000 times, and that one gets away from him. So
you said it, partner. We've seen him do that trick so many times.
Sometimes that's just the way it goes. However, going back to the point we were talking about earlier, there are still some wild card spots up for grabs for Minneapolis. So just because he didn't get into the top 6 here doesn't mean that we won't see him at Park in Minneapolis per se.
No, that's a very good point. Just heartbreaking. He's been skating so well today. We absolutely expected him to be one of the top 6. Sitting in 7th, that is a tough pill to swallow. And with that, Jimmy, our top 6 are officially set. Now, there might be some moving and shaking within that 6, but there's nobody who can touch them. Those guys are locked in for their spots to X Games Minneapolis.
Tough break on the day there for Jagger, but again, congratulations to him walking out of X Games Norway with a silver medal in street. We will definitely see him in Minneapolis in the street event, and now he's going to have to hope for one of those wild card invites to compete in Park in Minneapolis as well.
So a tough one for Jagger Eaton, but here's Clay Kreiner sitting in 4th place. He is moving on to X Games Minneapolis, where once again he will be competing in 3 different events.
He's done it again. He's the Iron Man. Look at that stylish frontside stalefish right there. He gets to do it all over again. Vert, Big Air, as well as Park. So that's 2 years in a row. There's a massive backside 540. The other skaters you mentioned earlier to compete in 3 disciplines.
Yeah, first guy to do that since Andy McDonald, I believe, back in 2010.
All the way back to 2010. So shout out to Clay for pulling that one off 2 years in a row. So still out there, still getting after it. Now at this point, we know that our top 6 are getting invited. Now it's just about posturing. Who gets out of here with bragging rights of the win here in Boise?
So right now it's Tristan Rennie, but Blake Reiner could definitely shake that up.
The backside ollie will be the final one for him there at the buzzer. Clay content with his performance out here today. And congratulations to him once again for competing in 3 skate events. The X Games coming up next month. Look at the massive backside 540 right there. Styled out that stale fish to start off the run. Hitting that back knee almost on the grip tape there. Fish slide there on the lip. Lead the tail up on top of the wall ride for Clay. So he's had a great day. He's been very consistent out here today.
An 82 for Kreiner. So not enough to move him into the top 2.
It's the better of his 3 scores.
Yeah, absolutely. Saving his best for last as well. But he's moving on to Minneapolis, as is this next young man, 19-year-old Himana Reynolds. We hadn't seen him on the X Games stage until he made his debut here in Boise last summer, earned a way into Minneapolis, and he repeats doing that just again out here today at Rhodes Skatepark.
Well, he's sitting 1 position lower as of right now than he was last year at this event. Would like to change that up a little bit, bump up the standings, maybe walk out of here with the win. Grabbing slob on that air going into the shallow end. Bustling his way up into the eggplant. He's got tall inverts. I like the way that he gets into his inverts. Outside stand-up grind coming over the love seat. Those grab 360 coming over the hip. So you need an 85.33 or better if you're going to take the lead away from Tristan Rennie. And with that fall, that is not going to do it. So Himana is going to settle for 4th out here today.
So that'll do it for Himana Reynolds. This one for the fans. Unable to catch it there.
Trying to do a tray flip tail grab. But he is going to Minneapolis. We'll see him in Park.
He makes it 2 for 2 after making his debut at X Games Minneapolis in 2017. So it was that strong 81 right out of the gate that set the pace for him and gets him on to Minneapolis.
See him getting congratulations there from Jagger Eaton. So it all comes down to our final skater.
Oscar Rosenberg held on to that 6th and final bubble spot throughout this 3rd and final attempt. He's going to his first X Games. Oh!
Taking a page out of Tristan's book right there. Leaning over the front end of the board there, but manages to hang on. Floating a lean air there on that vert wall. Coming off this little transition kicker to the ollie down into the shallow portion. Again, look at the speed here, Brandon. Look at how fast he moves through. There's up into that long frontside lip slide.
Oh my!
That he was gonna slide all the way off of that thing.
You have to check the deed on that curve. He owns it.
Frontside grab, carving around the pool coping deck, just popping off into the transition. So as you mentioned at the top of the run, he does hang on to get that last invite spot. Looking like he was attempting a backside disaster up on top of the wall ride feature, but that is it.
You know, and Jimmy, not to get ahead of ourselves, but if I'm Alex Sargente, if I'm Tom Shar, if I'm Corey Juneau, our podium from last year, I am realizing just how tough it's going to be to get back on the podium. The level of park skating on the men's side has just completely elevated.
Well, you know, what we were talking about earlier before we came on air, this Boise event last year proved to be the road to gold,
right,
so to speak.
All 3 of those guys ended up on the podium.
Had to skate in this event last year, and they were your 1, 2, 3 out of Minneapolis. Why are they not here this year? Your podium finishers do not, they automatically get re-invited the following year, so that's why they are not here. But I guarantee you they're watching. They've been paying attention, and they now have a better idea of what the rest of the field's looking like. There are still those wild card invites still up for grabs. Those are yet to be determined.
So that'll do it for our men's skateboard park final here at the Road to X Games. There you see in gold our top 6 who will be moving on to X Games Minneapolis. Tristan Rennie, Trey Wood, Clay Kreiner, Hamana Reynolds, Chris Russell, and Oscar Rosenberg. What a lineup, Jimmy.
Yeah, and it's going to be an all-out brawl on that park course out there at the U.S. Bank Stadium. It's going to be a good time out there. And again, you know, I keep talking about this, the wild card invites. There's a selection committee out there that will decide, hey, you know what, there's still a couple of spots that they're going to reward people that they feel like they may not have had the contest placing, so to speak. Maybe it's someone that's coming back from an injury, but they do have those wild card invites every year to hand out to round out the field.
Well, let's head down to Diana, who I believe is with Tristan Rennie.
The top qualifier here in Boise, Idaho. Congratulations, 3 solid runs. Walk us through it.
I don't know, I just been doing that same run all weekend, kind of same tricks and stuff. It's just such a fun park.
What's it like going through and competing against athletes like these?
Everybody here is like all homies, so it's just such a fun session. Like, it's not even like a contest, really.
All right, well, congratulations, Tristan Rennie, the top qualifier here in Boise, Idaho.
So it was just a great day for Tristan. He put down that 85 to set the pace, and then ended up with the highest single score of the comp with that 85.33. And here's a look at our top 6.
That was Chris Russell right there, just powering through that front side lip slide up there around the love seat in the deep end. Clay Kreiner right here with a big backside 540. Tristan Rennie, your #1 qualifier, or I guess your winner, I should say, coming out of here, out of the Road to X Games Boise qualifier. The backside 540 of his own there in the deep end. We'll send it down now to Diana with the award ceremony.
Finishing 6th here for the Boise, Idaho qualifier, Oscar Rosenberg. Jack handing out the ticket, the official pass, the license plate to Minneapolis later on in July. And then finishing up 5th, Chris Russell. Jack Matrani, our X Games host, doing a fabulous job for us. Finishing up 4th here for the qualifier, Hamana Reynolds. And now our top 3, finishing 3rd, Clay Kreiner. An amazing 3rd run, finishing 2nd, Trey Wood. And our champion today, Road to X Games top qualifier, Tristan Rennie. Very, very tough day. Congratulations, gentlemen. Brando, GME, take it away.
Jimmy, little known fact, but those skaters actually need to take those license plates with them to Minneapolis to get into the arena. That's their credential.
It's like a scan card.
To prove that they are in the contest.
All right, so you just flash the license plate, maybe put it on a chain, use it as some jewelry.
Well, congratulations to our top 6 here in the men's skateboard park qualifier, each of them earning a spot to X Games Minneapolis. It was a fun one, huh, partner?
Oh, I had an absolute blast. We saw some slip-ups there in that first round, but when it came down to it, the pressure cooker situation in round 3, these guys really stepped up to the challenge.
What a day it was for men's skateboard park qualifier. It was Tristan Rennie taking home the top spot. We'll see you in Minneapolis.